So in the end, I spent about yeah, this was a little bit more of an expensive trip. Okay, so this video I am so excited about. I am going to be talking all about Kauai in this video and how much money I spent when I went on my trip recently. So if you find yourself wanting to plan a trip to the beautiful island of Kauai, then you definitely want to watch this video so you know how much money you'll have to put aside to budget for this amazing trip that will literally change your life forever. This place is so beautiful. The food is incredible. The people are so nice, and you're surrounded by the ocean, so you're naturally just gonna be like a happier person, okay? In this video, I'm gonna break down my budget. I'm gonna break it down by travel, so the accommodation, the food I ate, which was so good, and then transportation, gifts, and then activities as well. For each of these categories, I'll share what I did and how much money I spent, and then I'll also share with you a few budget alternatives. Without further ado, I am so excited. I really want you to just book that ticket and just change your life. Like, I am not kidding. It's gonna change your life. Let's get into this video, and I cannot wait to share with you my budget. Let's go. Let's get into this video. Let's start with flights. When I flew out of Chicago, my flight actually stopped in LA, and then from there I got to go to Kauai. So it was like literally a perfect day because I got to go to LA and I got to go to Kauai. It was just amazing. The whole thing took the entire day, so just keep that in mind. I spent $0 on my flight because I was just using my credit card points. So if you want to learn a little bit more about travel hacking and spending $0 on flights, then let me know and I will teach you. If you are looking to buy tickets for your upcoming trip, when you go in the wintertime and when you go in early spring, in late fall, those are all gonna be low seasons. So it's really important to buy your tickets when obviously there's not as many people on the island. It's all about supply and demand. Just type in Google, say like where you want to fly out of to Kauai, and then just look at the little calendar and like hit the little arrow and just see how the prices vary over time. That's the best way to know like how prices are fluctuating. The high season for prices, which you can spend easily like over $1,000 sometimes, it can get rough, would be in the summertime. There are some exceptions. The first is spring break, Christmas, and Thanksgiving. Keep that in mind. Prices will obviously increase during those times. If you're trying to save money on your flight, what I would recommend doing is flying with like Frontier or Spirit, just like cheaper airlines. Or what you can do is use Skyscanner. That's like an app that basically shows you like the best prices for certain trips, and you can keep like an eye on what the prices are. So that's another option. I don't use that really. I honestly just like to fly American or Spirit, but I've had like bad experiences with Spirit at this point, so I'm kind of like an American Airlines girl at this point. Plus I have a lot of points. So all right, so now we're gonna talk about food, and I'm a huge foodie, so I did go a little bit crazy, but the amount of money that I spent on food actually only represented about 8.76% of my total spend for my trip to Kauai, which is kind of small if you think about it. That's because other things are more expensive. So let's jump right into the expenses. Water is expensive in Kauai. I didn't want to drink the filtered water from like the sink or anything. I wanted to just get like a nice water bottle. You can fill it up. There's like stations randomly, like in the airport, there's a nice water bottle filling station. In my Airbnb, I had like a little like water filter thingy, but I didn't want to use that. I didn't know like how old it was or anything. So I just bought all of my water. All right, I'm not going to go through all the items that I actually ate. If you want to know exactly what to eat while you're in Kauai and just like my review on all this food, then definitely check out this video. It's going to give you the full rundown of what to eat in Kauai. I spent a total of $181.02 for my food budget. And the thing is, I don't travel with a budget. I just like go with the flow because it's all about the experiences for me. So if my heart wants to eat an acai bowl, I get the acai bowl. That's kind of like the style that I do. The food on Kauai, it's not super expensive if you're not stupid about it. What I would recommend you doing is just like getting your food and then going to the ocean and just like sitting there, or just like sitting in the sun, go outside, and you don't have to be in a sit down restaurant and drop like $200 on like one meal. Especially if you're traveling alone, like you're gonna spend a lot if you do that for every single meal. I don't mind doing that sometimes, but for this one, I want it to be like by the ocean as much as possible. If you're trying to travel on more of a budget and you want to save money, what I would recommend you doing is going to grocery stores and look at all the food within the grocery stores. They always have like pre-made meals, or sometimes they'll make them on the spot for you, like poke bowls. I would also buy a ton of protein bars when you're at these grocery stores. So you can just like have them in your bag, and then that can serve as a meal if you really need something to like pull you over. This tip is for all of my smoothie bowl lovers. So if you love acai bowls, but you don't want to spend like $18 on a smoothie bowl like I did, what you can do is just buy like a bag of granola from the grocery store, or make it yourself, whatever you want to do. And then when you go to these cafes, just order a smoothie like in a normal cup, and then pour your own granola into the smoothie. So you kind of like make your own smoothie bowl. That's just something fun to think about, and you can still get the acai experience, just, you know, at a little bit cheaper of a cost. So let's get into accommodation. When I went to Kauai, I was there for, it was 3 nights and 4 full days because my flight was at like midnight. I ended up staying in an Airbnb. So when I was first looking at all the different hotels and stuff around Hawaii, I was like, dang, this place is like hotels. You can literally spend like north of $5K just for like your trip at a hotel. I'm not even, what I did was just go on Airbnb, and there are so many different options. A lot of these Airbnb hosts have timeshares. So all you have to do is find one that has a great price that's like in the general area you want to stay in, and then secure it. That's it. You can even negotiate with the owner to try to get a lower price, which is also what I did. And the trick to that is you want to look at the actual calendar that they have, how often people are actually booking their place. So obviously you want to go to a place that has good reviews, but you also want to go to a place that's not fully booked, because if they're not fully booked, there's room for negotiation. I wanted to stay on the east side of the island so I could just go up north if I wanted to, or up down south if I wanted to really fast. My accommodation, the total, it came in at a whopping $915.41. Keep in mind, the east side of the island is supposed to be like the cheapest part of the island, but honestly, like I was finding Airbnbs for the same price up north. So some alternatives, if you want to save money and travel to Kauai on a budget, there's some options. You can go camping. It's like $35 to go camping on the Kalalea Trail. You can sleep in your car if you really want to. I would recommend just going on Airbnb first and seeing what you can find. Okay, now let's get into transportation. I'm not like a huge car girl, but I will say like I know what I want when it comes to cars. When you're in Kauai, you definitely need to get a Jeep, okay? Like it is just like, if you want the full experience, then you need to get a Jeep, 100%. Now, I am more of a Tesla girl, and I love Teslas. You can get away with doing a Tesla on the island. Like there are chargers in Poipu, but in my experience, I didn't want to worry about like the charging situation. I ended up ordering a car on Turo. Honestly, Turo has been a lifesaver for me through all of my trips. It's like the best way to get the exact car you want. For the most part, I've never had a bad experience, except for my one trip to Malibu. If you want to see more about that, click this video. For my Lyft to the airport, so I spent $44.13 for my 3-day Turo trip in my Jeep. I spent a total of $412.05. And then for gas, which, sorry Elon, but for gas I spent $48.28. Gas was so expensive there, it was crazy. It was like $6 a gallon, which honestly it's actually the same in Malibu, so just keep that in mind. When I flew home, I had to do like some work and stuff, and I just needed Wi-Fi, so that was $25 for the trip, which honestly it makes sense because it's like a 6 or 7 hour flight, so like it's kind of worth the money. That brings in a total of $582.33, and that represented about 28.19% of my total spend for my trip to Kauai. There are alternatives to saving money. When it comes to cars, I do like to be a little bit bougie, just because like it's gonna be, you know, moving my body from one place to the next place, and I want to make sure I'm in a car that like I feel confident in. For me, I'll spend the extra money because I like that experience. But for other people, if you really don't care, then there are cheap ass cars that you can get that will get you where you need to go. Just like in my experience, when I've traveled and I've driven like a cheaper car, I just don't like my trip as much. I know that sounds really bad, but for me, like I need to be in like a nicer car. So like that's my preference. Like food and then transportation, I will splurge on. Accommodation and like flights and stuff, I don't give a shit. Like I will cut all the corners. So if you're renting a car, I would highly recommend using Hawaii Car Rental. I'll leave the link below. Basically, it will lock in a price for a car rental from one of the major car rental suppliers. So like I actually did this at first, and I got a car rental through Thrifty, and they gave me this car, and I don't know, like I did this like a month in advance. So like I had it, and you don't pay for it up front. You pay for it when you're there. So like all you have is this like receipt, and it's like a confirmation. But as I like slept on it for a couple nights, I was like, I don't really want this car. Like it didn't make me excited. So I decided to cancel that. And then I just switched over to Turo, which was super easy. And that does not include gas, keep that in mind. You definitely need a car. Like you can take a bus to get places, but you'll have absolutely no freedom and no happiness. All right, let's get into the activities. These are the things that I did. For every trip I go on, I like to do like one fun, crazy thing. What I did was a boat cruise, and it also had a dinner package included. Kauai Sea Tours. That ticket itself was $211.11. I chose this one because it was during sunset, and I wanted to be like on a boat, and I wanted to be eating dinner, and the boat was like dope. Like I was so excited. It ended up not being the best. And if you want like the full rundown of like what I did in Kauai, hit the link down below. I'll like link my vlog. Basically, I got a little bit seasick, so it was hard for me to eat dinner because I thought I was gonna vomit. I also spent $35 to hike the Kalalea Trail. So if you're trying to be budget friendly, just skip the cruise and just go to the beaches, do the hikes, do the museums, do the Kauai Coffee Company. Like there are so many things you can do on the island for free. Do that and have a good time. So the total cost for all the activities was about $261, and that represents 12.64% of the total trip. So, okay, finally, let's talk about the gifts. I wanted to get my family just some like fun gifts to bring home. I spent $23.04 when I went to get those fresh coffee beans from the Kauai Coffee Company. And then I spent about $102.78 when I got my grandma this like lotion, and then I got like chocolates and like a ton of other things for my family. So that came in at a total of $125.82, and that represented 6% of my total budget. So literally like so small. If you're trying to save money on the gifts that you want to buy for your friends and family, what I would recommend you doing is just taking pictures of things and then like framing it. Like Kauai is so beautiful. Like anything that you take a picture of will literally change someone's life forever. So in the end, I spent about $2,065 on this trip. Yeah, this was a little bit more of an expensive trip just because of the accommodation, but this is no different than New York. Like if you go to New York and you look at hotels, like you'll easily spend like north of $300 a night. Like that's minimum, and that's like super cheap. You know, if like you want to see the world and you want to go to like fun hotels and stuff like that, like you obviously have to spend more, but you can always stay at hostels, you can always camp, you can sleep outside, like do whatever. It's just kind of like what you want to do. So I hope this gives you like a idea of what you can set aside for your upcoming trip to Kauai. I really hope that you go to Kauai because like I love the island so much, and like the ocean is just like always around you. It's so good. I really do hope that you go. And yeah, that is it. Happy traveling and have a good day. Bye.